सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. When a child is born, and we are talking of the human child, when the child, because the human child is utterly helpless, unlike the child of any other animal. The elephant, baby elephant calf, I think it's called. So the calf is born, and then nobody helps it. Everybody roots for it. They trumpet all the matriarchs surrounding it. They say, come on, you can do it, little fellow, get up, get up. And if it doesn't get up, they'll give it a little nudge with the tusk to help it. If it still doesn't get up, they will go on their way because they can't wait. There are predators, so many things are there, and they are going in search of water. And then there are seasons, and if they delay, everything, the whole thing gets disrupted. And same thing. Nowadays it's become, even the animals don't have any privacy because there is eagle cam. You can see, baby eagles coming out of their little, what is that? Eggs. Not so little eggs. But anyhow. Then there is, of course, puppy cam and kitten cam cameras all over the thing. And then giraffe cam. So you can see all these, you can see that there's a marked difference between the human baby and the baby of all the animals. Babies of the animals are, they get up, they walk, they run if they need to, they follow, they follow the parents into the forest. These are all wild animals I'm talking about. And even in the wilderness, they have kept cameras. And, so like this, monkey's baby catches hold of the mother. It has to catch hold of the mother because the mama monkey doesn't take maternity leave afterwards. She just jumps to the next tree for survival. But the human baby is utterly helpless. Cannot get up, cannot walk, of course cannot talk, and cannot feed itself, is not self-sufficient even in the slightest bit. Cannot even turn around for that matter, at least for the next 3 months it will not be able to turn around. And it's like this, helpless for a very long time. And if it's born to Indian parents, it's it's helpless forever. So somebody is raising hand. What happened? Who is raising the hand? You can't hear, or is it an accident? Or you were just happy to see me? I'm also happy to see you. But the hand raising function is for emergencies, okay? Yeah. Online emergencies. Yeah. So, like sometimes the screen starts to freeze. Then I don't know, but they will tell like that. That is a good thing. The human baby is utterly helpless, has no idea how to take care of itself. And the same cry, whether it needs a nappy change, whether it needs the stomach filled up, or whether it needs to, it has a stomach problem. What is that called? Colic. Colic. Same cry. The parents have to guess, especially if it's the first child. They have to guess. And like, it's called in Sanskrit, Parishesha Nyaya. Okay, it can't be nappy change because we just changed this baby. And it cannot be hunger because it just had some milk. So therefore it must have stomachache, This is how you have to do guesswork because it's not able to express itself. Utterly helpless. And for this baby, there is one 10-digit social security number. Yeah. It's socially most insecure. And for this, some social security number, bada wala. As soon as the baby is born, you go and get this number. And this baby is, utterly helpless. And it is dependent entirely on whoever takes care of it in whatever manner possible. If it is lucky, it will have very nice parents, and if there is something wrong with the prarabdha, it will have primary caregivers instead of caregivers. Caregivers. So, like this, it will go to anybody, it has to. You're talking of a newborn, a small, really small infant. It will go to anybody, it has to. The total helplessness is compensated by complete trust in whichever adult is handling it. This is very, very important to know for our, for our session on what is that? Practical tips in the what is that? Dosha Parihara Ashtakam. Grand finale. So, therefore, it's utterly helpless, and the utter helplessness is compensated by complete trust. This is how the vyavastha arrangement is. Arrangement is like that because it cannot afford to not trust. It has to trust. It has to trust in whoever it is, and then so the baby grows up, and and then it is, after about 7 or 8 months old, it says, okay, these are my parents, It doesn't know parents, but these are the people who are supposed to take care of me. I'm close to them and, I'm familiar with them. And you try to say, please come to me. You go and visit the baby and say, come to me. And the same baby that would have had no problem in, being held by you, even 3 months ago, now says, who are you? I don't know you. I don't trust you. You see, there is certain bonds forming, a certain kind of connection that is forming. And this way the baby grows up idolizing its caregivers, idolizing the mother and the father or whoever, whether it's, mother or father or some, foster mother, foster father, anybody, guardian, whoever it is, idolizes that person or them completely. In its mind, they are like God. Definitely. No other explanation is possible for this baby, in the mind of the baby. Because, they walk, the baby can't yet walk, they talk, they seem bigger, from the standpoint of a small child, they are like huge, and they can do all kinds of things. I can't do all kinds of things. And somehow when I'm hungry and I cry, food comes, and then, they seem to, once in a while, know my needs and attend to them. So it forms, it forms some kind of attachment to the parents because that's all it knows. And that's, so there is great, complete trust. As I said, because of the helplessness, there is total trust. Then you fast forward, now the baby is 1 year old, then you fast forward 1 or 2 more years. It starts to talk, and the brain is developing a little more. It starts to reason a little bit, some basic primary, primal kind of reason in its own way. And then, it starts to have some doubts about these primary caregivers. It's, because they are weird, They say one thing and do something completely different. They tell the baby, you should not do this, but then the child sees them doing the same thing that they tell the child not to do. And this is a problem, but it doesn't know how to articulate. And then it finds that sometimes the mother is, not there, gone, maybe gone to work. And the child feels what is that called? Separation. It's called separation anxiety because it wants to be with them all the time. You know, father gone, mother gone to work, or if they are not gone to work, they are there but they are inconsistent. One day very happy, the child jumps around, does something silly, and the parents are relaxed, they are happy. The next day they are worried about something else, they are anxious, and the child does the same thing thinking that it will get the positive attention, and then they just say, shut up, sit down, what silly thing you're doing, you're already 2 years old. Don't you think you should grow up, and the child is utterly confused, what is going on over here, and so, mother unavailable, father inconsistent, and this is what is very confusing in the mind of the child, and this is, of course, in the best case scenario, these kinds of inconsistencies are there, but sometimes it is, it's worse, there is all kinds of hurt, physical hurt, abuse, so many things are there. And so, therefore, the child that trusted and elevated these people to the level of gods, has a terrible, what should I say, duvidha, confusion. Because they are gods, they were right all the time. They can do things I can't do, but then they are being, they are being inconsistent, they are being hurtful. And then it doesn't know how to understand this discrepancy. So then what does it do? It takes it upon itself. They are perfect. And who should be imperfect? Me. This is what is called the slow, the gradual, but certain development of the unconscious mind. Unconscious mind, this is what is called the unconscious. And of course, Pujya Swamiji in his own way used to illustrate this with a wonderful story. Then this loss of trust happens and how it happens. So the child, is playing and suddenly sees a cockroach, live cockroach. And then, screams and goes and catches the mother's dress and points to that. And the mother is even more scared of the cockroach than the child. And the mother leaves the child where it is and jumps on the dining table. Again, it was about fear. Yesterday it didn't happen. Yeah. Someday. So, the mother climbs on the dining table, leaving the child right there with the cockroach. And then the child thinks this mother is useless. Calls the father. The father doesn't even come into the room and calls the pest control from the other room. And so in this way the child is not, doesn't feel safe. He's not able to rely on them. He thought that it could rely on these people and these people are more useless than itself. And so it internalizes, the imperfections of the parents. There are 2-3 scenarios as far as this unconscious mind is concerned. A, it internalizes the parents' shortcomings as its own. They are fine. Nothing must be my problem. I am bad. That's why this is, they are being like this to me. And then, that is one scenario. Or it develops some kind of an avoidant personality. Like, let's not think about this at all. Let's just, pretend it never happened and go forward. So there are many 2-3 other scenarios like this. And then so what happens is that it keeps on,
leading its life. And this is why it's called the unconscious mind, because the brain is not yet developed to fully understand the gamut of the pain that this young being has been subject to. So what does it do? It suppresses everything. That's why it's called the unconscious mind. This is the, this is the a manifestation of the Avarna Shakti on the individual level. Maya's Avarna Shakti. And this Maya's Avarna Shakti, the covering power of Maya, known as the unconscious, in the psychological parlance, leads to a personal vikshepa, a subjective projection. You see how interesting it is. So, this unconscious mind leads to wrong internalizations, wrong understanding of the jiva itself, other jivas, Jagat, the whole universe and things in it, and then finally Ishvara. It leads you to wrong understanding. It gives that subjectivity. There is no objectivity because of the pain and the fear. Pain, sorrow, fear, anger, all these things are there in the unconscious mind. And then the unconscious mind doesn't go away. It is under cover, literally. It slowly comes out when the child is no longer a child, the child is now an adult, and then when the adult is in a trusting situation, the unconscious mind comes out. Because finally, one is safe enough to feel unsafe. Even to feel unsafe, you should have some safety. That's why it comes out with a significant other, with a close friend, things like that. You get angry, you get upset, you get, impatient. And this is what the whole thing is. This is the whole trajectory of the raw materials for anyasya, anyasya, what is that? Dosha darshanam. In order to, this is the raw material. The unconscious mind is the culprit, why one leads, invariably one becomes a fault finding machine. And if you keep finding faults, this is again another, story of Pujya Swamiji. He would say, next life you will be born as a proofreader. Because that's what they do. They keep finding fault everywhere, And so this is what the thing is. There is a certain helplessness. And the good thing is, it is universal. So there is Ishvara's law there, and you can see how the psychological order, prevails here, the psychological law. And, and the Maya Shakti here, and this Avarna, the Avarna Shakti of Maya, which covers the person's Swarupa with all this, debris of the unconscious mind, leads to a personal vikshepa, personal projections, adhyasa, over what? Over the Jagat, over itself, over other jivas, and that faint feeling of childhood. I am bad, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm imperfect. In other words, I am insecure. This is what is the raw materials, of the unconscious mind. And this is what causes dosha darshanam constantly. Because the one who is insecure, he will be subject to projections. And in the projections, there is some kind of a satisfaction, temporary satisfaction, a kind of a distorted temporary satisfaction. Because there is a deflection. The more I'm outwardly focused and I am yelling at somebody or talking bad about somebody, then I don't have to look at what is happening within. This is basically what it is. So how to get out of this? You have to deal with the unconscious. And again, to use Pujya Swamiji's terms, how to deal with the unconscious? You have to settle accounts with Bhagavan. This is what he would say. Settle accounts with Ishvara. Because the truth is that the child that idolized its parents as, as God and Goddess, it has had a big breach, correct? That child has a big breach of trust, a kind of a betrayal. And then it's constantly searching for somebody to take that place of that perfect the parent, because the parent has become imperfect. So it's searching for perfection, because even this tiny baby that has been that has been subject to distrust, even this tiny baby, what does this tiny baby have? The tiny baby is is a mumukshu, has mumuksha. It wants to be free. It doesn't have jignasa, the desire to study yet. It doesn't know what study is, but it's want to be free. And so it misses, so it's looking for perfection. That's what it is, because it is hardwired for moksha. Every being is hardwired to be free. And so it's searching for this freedom by looking for perfection everywhere. Wherever it goes, it wants perfection. So it tries to replace the perfect parents with so many things, with toys, with other friends, with as it grows up with some kind of a what is that, some kind of experiences, job, marriage, its own children, etc. Nothing suffices. The only thing that will suffice, the only thing that will fill up the gap left by the parents in its mind is connecting or finding the oneness with the mother and the father of the universe. That's the only thing that will, fill up that gap. That's why we have a beautiful way to illustrate this scenario. In that, in that very common story of Shiva and Parvati with their sons, and then only one celestial mango to share. A mango is not an easy fruit to share. You can make it into 3 parts, but not really 2 parts. And so, of course, the parents declare that whoever goes around the universe first, there are 2 boys now. Lot of sibling rivalry will be there. 2 fellows are there. Who are they? Yeah? Yeah, Subramanya, Kartikeya, and Ganesha. And then, they are both there, and then one mango. And so now a contest has been set to find out who gets this celestial fruit, very tasty, wonderful fruit. And what is the challenge? Whoever comes back after, making a whole circle of the universe, circling the universe 3 times. And then that whoever comes back first will get this fruit. And then, you see 2 different kinds of, what is that? Models. What does Kartikeya do? He gets on his peacock and off he goes. Ganesha is clever. First he looks at his tummy. It is coming, over there. And then he looks at his mascot, his Vahana. Vahana means that which is going to take him around the universe. And it is a Moshaka. Tiny little mouse. And it says, when the mouse says, don't even think about it. I don't know what you're having in mind. Don't look at me. Don't even think about it. I'm not going to bear your weight. That to 3 rounds around the universe. This ain't happening. The mouse goes into its hole. Yeah. Not even available for transaction. So then what is he to do? looks at his parents. And these boys have the perfect parents. It's amazing because the parents are Bhagavan and they are in the form of that infallible Bhagavan. So then he has an idea. He doesn't believe in expending calories because that big stomach, is stomaching everyone's karma phala. So that's why it's so huge. Yeah, and so therefore, and of course, he's fond of the sweet. That also factors in very good. Yeah, laddus and modaks and everything. And so he just encircles them 3 times. And by the time that fellow comes back, huffing and puffing and all out of breath, you know, this fellow has just is sitting in front of the mango and has eaten the mango and eaten the skins also. After all, he is elephant face, so he has enjoyed the skin as well. Nothing, not even the skin is left. Maybe only the seed is left, all completely shorn. And then you know you see the unconscious mind of Kartikeya. Kartikeya's unconscious, comes out and he says, "This is cheating, not fair. I have been defrauded." And then it is said that he runs away from there as a small boy and goes and sits in Pani. You can go and meet him there. Yeah, is sitting there. So that's the story. And the story is very beautiful because, it shows in Ganesha's, approach. It shows, that the recognition of the mother and the father of the universe leads to this fruit. And the fruit here symbolizes moksha. Yeah, which is not a karma phala, which is something that is recognized as one's own swarupa. But here, for ease of understanding, it's presented as a very tasty, rare, celestial fruit that nobody can have. You know. So for moksha, what is needed here is to recognize the mother and the father to fill that gap of someone, causing you to distrust them. So you can't replace the parents. You cannot. You can search for other parents and whatnot, and it's not the same. You cannot replace these parents with the perfect parents because your search for the perfect parent takes on apparently many forms. And none of that suffices. And only time the search for the perfect parent comes to an end is when you recognize the mother and the father of the universe as the truth of yourself. And Ganesha does that. This is a very beautiful thing. So then, we can't say that the unconscious mind is all bad. Why? Because it serves a number of purposes. The first thing it does is that it allows the child to grow up without any problems and study and be a productive person in the society before the unconscious comes out. Number one. Number two, the unconscious mind, when it does come out, helps you to search, if it's properly done, helps you to search for your purpose, helps you to search for Bhagavan. This is very important, methods in which the unconscious mind is actually, helping you. And thirdly, the unconscious mind is very important for gaining emotional maturity. Because you have to, this is how you gain emotional maturity is by constantly working with the unconscious mind. As I said, first is what happens is that the person, when they grow up, they, the unconscious mind is projected onto the significant other or a friend or somebody close to the person. This is what I found. This couple had been married not even for 6 months. And then they were talking like this to each other. You always do this. And then he asked, what do you mean always? When we have only been married for 6 months and we didn't even know each other before that. Good question. And then she had to think, okay, always means what? Where did this always come from? What does this remind you of? Then it goes back completely because this dosha darshanam comes from the unconscious, unresolved unconscious mind, subject to insecurity, is the cause of dosha darshanam. So we have to tackle it compassionately. But then the first thing to do is to work with the unconscious mind. How to do that? First you have to take responsibility. Sakashayam vijaniyat. This is what Adi Shankara's grand guru says in the Karika, Mandukya Karika. Kashaya means, sludge. So know the antahkarana, know the mind to be along with the unconscious. Sakashayam vijaniyat. Sampraptva, when you encounter the unconscious, na vichalayet. Don't start analyzing it out of existence. Analyzing it here means, why me? Why I only had to have this. Nobody else is seeming to have this. I only have been targeted. I just don't know what to do. This is what he says. Don't do this. This is not very productive because you're not reversing the pattern. Neither are you recognizing the pattern. You're just rehearsing the pattern. You're just playing it out again and again, and it's not going to help. This is what not to do with the unconscious. Second thing, what not to do with the unconscious, and this is very tempting. This is, is to, the unconscious is in the form of, truncated, not yet grown babies. The same child, that's what it is. It's a child. Child. What does the child do? The child wants attention. And so there is a split in the human being. So there is many inner children and one adult who is not taking care of them. This is what the whole thing is. So this inner child / children, it's very tempting to give it to the significant other to babysit. Here, you take care of this. It doesn't work. Even if it works for 1 or 2 days, then the expectation of the significant other will be that you will also babysit all their inner children. Are you ready for that? Oh, no. Okay. Yeah. It doesn't work. Even if you exchange inner children for a few, months, that's what is called honeymoon period. After that, it does not work. You cannot outsource your inner children. You have to bring them up slowly yourself. You cannot get rid of them because they are Bhagavan. Everything is Bhagavan. Inner child is also Bhagavan. Unconscious is Bhagavan. Everything is Bhagavan. Bhagavan is not the unconscious, but unconscious is definitely Bhagavan. So what are you going to do? You cannot give it away. You cannot make somebody else, force somebody else to babysit. Even if you paid them, they will not babysit your inner children. And so what are you going to do? You cannot get rid of them. No other option except to bring them up yourself. Bring them up means you integrate it into the adult. This is what it is. And exactly how you dealt with your own child or you're dealing with your own child, that is how you have to deal with the inner child. The child will say, any child will say, I'm not tired. When? In the night, during its bedtime. I'm not tired at all. But what does the mother know? Mother knows, okay. And the mother doesn't even bother to disagree with the child. What's the point? Yeah, you're not tired. I know you're not tired. And just puts the child in her lap and just, pats it 2 times. The child is out, out for the night. But in the child's mind, I want to play. I'm not tired. I really, really need to play. I really want to play. I'm not tired. But the mother knows, the father knows. This is not the thing. And then another scenario. In front of the toy shop, it has a meltdown because it wanted everything and you didn't give it anything except maybe one small thing. And you chose the toy, something that doesn't make noise, all these things. So that for your suvidha, you chose the toy. Depending on your convenience, not what it wanted, the most shiny, most noisy toy, and you got it some boring thing. And then it has a meltdown right there. And then what do the parents do? They don't bother so much. They just look at it lovingly, they let it, have a meltdown. And then, at some point they say, we are getting into the car, we are going home, do you want to come with us? And then by that time, it says, okay, I'll come because what other choice does it have? It comes slowly, you know. So, like this, this is exactly what you have to do to your own inner child. You have to give it attention, you have to tell it you love it, and even if it seems silly, even if it seems silly, like I'm a grown person, I'm a grown man, I'm a grown woman, who this is a very ridiculous thing to do, you still have to do it. If you want this text to bless you, this is what you have to do. If you want this text to bless you, if you want to move further in Vedanta, you have to grow up, give attention to the inner child. And the unconscious is so called because you don't know it is there, but it is there. That's why you can tell your friend, a person can tell their friend, I suddenly got angry. I didn't know I could get so angry. Where did this anger come from? I don't know. That is the unconscious. So you have to start working with this inner child. You have to say, you know what? I'm here for you. What's the inner child? The one that's afraid, one that's frightened. What is it going to say back? Yeah, right. Nobody has been there for me. What you are going to do and be there for me? What lies? Better not tell lies. I'm fine by myself. Nobody has taken care of me. Now you are going to take care of me? You have to slowly, it will say things like that. But you have to slowly win its trust. And you can give it a voice. And these are, you can make it right with a non-dominant hand. Non-dominant means supposing you're right-handed, then you make the left hand the voice of the inner child and ask it what is bothering you. Yeah. You can never lose your temper. And because then all the trust that you have gained, it will be eroded. It will not trust you again because it has no reason. It's a small baby. Just like for a small 1 or 2 year old baby, if you scream, what is it going to understand? Nothing. So you can't lose your temper. You have to be firm yet loving at all times, and yet you cannot let it call the shots. Just like you cannot let a 2 year old call all the shots, you cannot ask the 2 year old, can you please, time your tantrums around this. I have some important things to do. It will not listen. So, but you cannot let it run the show. Similarly, you have to be firm yet loving. And then, after you gain the trust of the inner child, the second thing to do is slowly barter with it. It wants to come out at the office. When you're talking to your boss, the boss is saying things you don't want to hear. And the inner child wants to come out. And then you have to tell it, not now, I will talk to you later. You have to tell it that. And after that, you have to sit with it and say, oh, I know it was so painful. What all happened? Tell me how you're feeling. And that way, you are in the position of the adult at all times. If you start, conflating yourself or colluding with the inner child, it doesn't work. If you start identifying with the distress, it does not work. You have to be in the place of the adult and just watch the inner child with the Sakshi Bhava. And slowly it will alert you. This situation is triggering. I'm going to come out now. No, 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 please don't. This is a public situation. Wait till we get home. After that, you can do whatever you want. You know, you make a pact with it. And then after that, you find out what happened. Then, in the beginning, you find out after the fact. Oh, that must have been the inner child. You missed the inner child. Why? Because it came and went, and the outburst was so big, you didn't even notice that you were having a moment where the unconscious was coming out. Then, with practice, you notice as it is coming out, but you are unable to do anything, so you watch it with dismay. You know, what is that? Second stage. Third stage is you are able to watch it before it comes out and say, aha, you are that one. Ah, you are the neglected one. Okay. You are the angry one. Okay. You are the lonely one. Poor thing. Okay. So you have a kind of a familiarity which one it is. And when it is coming out, this one has to constantly do until the grip of the inner child is loosened. This is what. So we are not trying to eliminate the unconscious. The unconscious is there, but it is like the beast, a little baby beast that is at the foot of Lord Nataraja, Dakshinamurti, etc. And this baby beast, it looks like a baby, but he's got a mustache and he's got a sword and a shield, defensive and offensive, like a ninja. Not a baby at all, but baby-esque because it beyond reason, cannot, is not susceptible to logic. And so, what does the Lord have? The Lord has his foot on it. He, H-E-A-N, H-E-E-L, both. He, stay there, stay. And that right foot is the foot of knowledge. Foot of Vedanta, keeps it in check. And it has a name, this baby beastie, in the form. See how our rishis were so evolved. All this psychology, was only brought to the West after so many centuries. And so the baby beast has a name. What is its name? Apasmara. The one who haunts through old memories. That is its meaning. Meaning of the word apasmara is the one who haunts through memories. So bringing out memories that were buried, forgotten, too painful to face. And so the Lord has put his foot on thee, on this apasmara. It's not the Lord's unconscious. Lord doesn't have unconscious because there is no antakarana. And Lord didn't have mummy, daddy, who then he distrusted. So that is not the idea. It is the collective unconscious of all the jivas. The grace of the Lord is such that you surrender to that, you surrender to Bhagavan and the unconscious is taken care of. This is another way of taking care of the unconscious. Don't raise your inner babies, give them to Bhagavan every day. You put them there, you take care of them. This is what the whole thing is. So the prayer and surrender and having an active life of prayer is very, very important in order to, do this work. Because otherwise it gets scary, it gets lonely, and it feels pointless, and it feels like, okay, you don't need it, because it's all the ahankara coming in the way. So the prayer helps because, because there is a certain surrender and a trust. One learns to trust again. And that trust here is called Shraddha. Shraddha and Bhakti has to be cultivated because that Shraddha was eroded. Everybody starts with eroded Shraddha. And that Shraddha, with the help of, Shastra, Guru, Bhagavan, All these anugrahas come, and with that, one rebuilds the trust. One cannot afford to not trust and still have Vedanta, because one of the qualifications for Vedanta is what? Shraddha. Absolutely. And without Shraddha Bhakti, there is no Vedanta. And here one is having a broken heart and a betrayed heart, not trusting anybody. Anyone you encounter, you don't trust. And then, of course, the unconscious is projected onto the Shastra as well. What can this do? Nothing. Nothing has helped. Why will Vedanta, Shmedanta, what is it going to do? Zero. It's not going to have an effect on me. And then that's why Vedanta comes along with the teacher. But but then the teacher is also not trusted. Yeah. Because one is engaging in dosha darshanam because there is no shraddha. When there is shraddha, dosha darshanam is not there. Very minimal. It minimalizes it. So there is no shraddha, so there is active dosha darshanam. And then you start thinking, one starts thinking, oh, the teacher was searching for a word. That means they don't know. And and then, oh, the teacher came 5 minutes late. So that means, you're not perfect. So that same imperfection that bothered one about the primary caregivers is projected onto the teacher. The teacher becomes a sitting duck for transference and all kinds of projections. One seeks the mummy one never had, one seeks the daddy one never had. And in fact, it's always at least two people who come to the teaching. Oh, me and my friend? No. You and the inner child. And so the Vedanta teacher is in a quandary because the Vedanta teacher cannot teach the inner child. Inner child doesn't require teaching. What does it need? A hug. That's what it needs. It needs to be placated and pacified. And then who needs the teaching? The adult says, Adhihi Bhagavo Brahma, please teach me. But then here the inner child is not letting the adult study and is running around the room and creating a ruckus in the teaching situation. In fact, it takes the adult far away also. All this is discussed in the Upanishads. Chandogya chapter 8, I was talking about it yesterday. Indra goes along with Virochana. Virochana is always standing behind Indra. Why is he standing behind? He is a shadow self. He is the inner child of Indra, really. There is no Virochana here. It's the inner Asuri Vritti. That's all it is. Even the king of the Devas has a king-like ego and a king-like, unconscious in this story. Because Virochana doesn't say even one word in this whole chapter. Whole chapter, he doesn't say a single word. Only when he goes away, he says something. Actually, he doesn't say. His group, says something. So this itself is, and he's just a clone of Indra. Indra says, oh, Prajapati, oh, revered sir, Bhagavah, you have said, Atma, Apahatapatma. Can you please explain this sentence? How there is no Papa, how it is Vijaraha without, old age, Vimrityuhu, Kshut Pipasa Rahitaha. How this Atma can be like that, and this Atma I have heard is me. So please tell me how I can be like this. Indra asks. Virochana just stands quietly. Indra does namaskara, and a second later Virochana also does namaskara. And Indra goes to the cowshed when sent. Virochana also goes to the cowshed. For 66 and a half years. The unconscious is with Indra. Then later on what happens? The unconscious in the form of Virochana gets fed up, gets up and goes away. Then only Indra can get the teaching. After spending 33 years by himself without Virochana, and then 4 or 5 years with Prajapati, bringing the total to 100 and something. And then only he gets the teaching. He has to, Prajapati doesn't teach him till he shakes off Virochana. And Virochana goes away thinking, the body is Atma. Prajapati almost, there's a big discussion in Shankara Bhashya. Did Prajapati tell a lie in clapping his hands and having a cauldron of water brought? Because they said, both of them said, I want to see the Atma, I want to see the Atma. Here, gentlemen, see the Atma. Look at yourselves in the cauldron of water. And Indra twirls his mustache and and Prajapati also, Virochana also does the same. Indra checks out his muscles, biceps and triceps, looking in the reflection. Virochana also does the same. And there's a long discussion. Did Prajapati, who is supposed to tell the truth and who is a teacher of Brahma Vidya, did he mislead Indra on purpose? And Adi Shankara concludes, he takes on a lot of objections, and he concludes, no, this is not yukta, this is not appropriate to say Prajapati, misled them or lied to them. In fact, there was no them, it was only him and his shadow. And as long as the shadow is there, the teaching will not be assimilated. Because they were free to ask questions. They could have asked, how come this is, how come I'm looking at myself in the mirror every day? How come I had not recognized it? And then when there is no mirror, is there no Atma? They could have asked all kinds of questions, but they didn't. Why? Because Indra was under the spell of his unconscious mind. And then Virochana, the unconscious itself, said, this is a waste of time and went away. Meaning, not interested in this knowledge. Then only this knowledge could be given. Very, very important. This is all there in the Upanishads. So beautifully. And therefore, for the Dosha Parihara Ashtakam to bear fruit, this is, this is what everybody was waiting for. So many people said, are you going to give practical tips? When? Can you please give it on Thursday? And okay, which exact time? Is it going to be from 7 to 8 or from 8 to 9? People wanted, this is what it is. This is what it takes. This is what it entails. And without this, you see, there is a connection between that early insecurity, self-blame, and then one cannot stand the self-blame. And so, as a deflective mechanism, there is blaming others. And then this becomes a cyclical addiction. This is an addiction. So first at the level of Vak, how to get over it. First at the level of Vak, there is a restraint, there is tapas. Then, then it is, what is that? It's not being given airtime, and then the study of Vedanta helps a lot, and then the inner child work, the three combined together finally sort of makes this person, if not rest in the glory of the self, at least, suspend the raga dveshas and the pains and the fears that cause this unconscious to keep coming out in the form of, putting grime on the whole universe. So that when you then look at it, it is all dirty. It appears dirty. Why? Malini kriyate. He talks about this. It appears dirty because I have sullied the universe with my own fears and tears. Those fears and tears have to be taken care of. The inner child has to be embraced. And from seeing how Prajapati teaches Indra and Virochana, the Vedanta teachers learn how to deal with the inner child of the student, or how not to deal with the inner child of the students, that's better put, and how to, deal with the adult, and how to, give the inner child back to the student and teach the student ways of dealing with their own inner child. This is what it entails. Yeah. So, now we can chant the whole thing. We have one more verse to go, I'm aware of that. But some people online wanted us to chant this so that they can learn it, if we have chanted this. So we will chant the whole thing. And the last verse we can do the call and response and then do that, one more. अन्यस्य दोषगणना कुतुकं ममैतत् आविष्करोति नियतं मयि दोषवर्त्वम् दोषः पुनर्मयि चेव किले सतीशे दोषग्रहः कथमुदेतु महेश तस्मिन् एषा व्रतेतरकृतेति ममेश तस्मिन् ओहो यदि स्वपरकाममुखः प्रसूता सेयं व्रतेति महिमेन कथन्नुकोपः स्वस्य व्रता स्वदुरित प्रभवादि सर्वा कामवृत्त्यखिलदोषनिधे ममैष मय्याह दोषमिति को नु दुराग्रहोऽस्मिन् हेयत्वमालपतियोगमलं न केन वार्योऽभसत्ववती सोऽसत्किमाः यः संश्रितस्वपितधीर्यसनातुरस्तत् दोषस्य तं प्रतिवचोऽस्तु तदन्यदोषम् यद्वच्मि तन्मम न किंशतये स्वदोष चिन्तैवमेतदपनोद मदोदिताः दोषं परस्य ननु गृह्णाति again one more time. No, I missed that. दोषं परस्य ननु गृह्णाति मय्यनेन स्वात्मैष एव परगात्रसमाप्तेन दुर्वस्तुनेव मलिनीक्रियते तदन्यत् दोषग्रहागतः किं न निवर्तितव्यम् निर्दोषभावमितरस्य स्वदोषभावम् स्वस्यापि संविदधति परोक्षधीर्मे आसाभियं तदितरा तु परातिमात्र हेतुर्गणक्तु न कथम् मम तुच्छभावम् पद्मादिसौरभदिव भ्रमरस्य हर्षम् हित्वान्यधीरसुगुणे पुनरन्यदोषे हर्षो दुरत्र इव केन कृते किमास्ते हा मे प्रदेश कृपया विगलेशदेश दोषे स्वभाजिमतिकौशलमन्यभाजी दोषे स्वभाजिमतिकौशलमन्यभाजी मौढ्यं गणेन्यजुषि हर्षभरस्वभाजी मौढ्यं गणेन्यजुषि हर्षभरस्वभाजी हस्तप्रसक्तिरखिलेषु दयात्युदार हस्तप्रसक्तिरखिलेषु दयात्युदार मृत्योर्जितो मम कदास्तु हरानुरागः मृत्योर्जितो मम कदास्तु हरानुरागः दोषे स्वभाजिमतिकौशलमन्यभाजी मौढ्यं गणेन्यजुषि हर्षभरस्वभाजी हस्तप्रसक्तिरखिलेषु दयात्युदार मृत्योर्जितो मम कदास्तु हरानुरागः. So with regard to the doshas of myself, Swabhaji doshe mati kaushalam astu, we have to add. May there be, Swabhaji doshe. Swabhaji means that which is in my lot, my doshas. With regard to my doshas, what should there be? There should be condition, a developed buddhi, which is here called as mati kaushalam. An adept buddhi, a dexterous buddhi, that is quick-witted buddhi with regard to catching what? Other people's faults? No. One's own faults. Yeah, that was an instant quiz. Yeah. So, one's own faults, not other people's faults, because we are trying to get away from that. So, with one's own faults, there is a kind of a, alertness. An alertness, this is called Mati Kaushalam. Another meaning of Mati Kaushalam is that, there is a ability for introspection that has been cultivated. This is what is inner child work, where you come back to yourself. Say, okay, what is the trigger? Okay, they behave badly. Okay, let them behave badly. Why should I be bothered? They are having a good day. They are continuing to behave badly. Why am I so bothered? And so there is some pain there, some sorrow, and some healing needs to be done. That is all that capacity to notice that. Notice what you spot it, you got it. If you are bothered by something, then the roots of that is within you, and that has to be cleaned up. And so this is what is called, the ability to do that is called Mati Kaushala. So may there be, this is all a part of the prayer. Astu, may there be what? Mati Kaushalam, this adept, introspective nature, the dexterity to go within myself. May there be where? With regard to Swabhaji doshe, with regard to the flaws of who, the flaws that belong to me, my own lot, then what should I do with other people's flaws? That's going to be said now. Anya bhaji, and then you have to, borrow anuvritti, you have to borrow the word doshe, the same dosha applies there also. So, anya bhaji doshe, maudhyam. Yeah, maudhyam means, gullibility. Here, gullibility. Mudhasya bhava. Gullibility. It's almost like you're foolish and dull-witted. You're quick-witted to catch your own faults, and you're dull-witted with regard to other people's faults. Don't notice it, And even if you notice it, you just let it go. So you'll be, maudhyam here, dull-witted, where you are foolish. You're quick, you're clever to notice your own faults, and you're foolish with regard to other people's faults. You're not noticing it, it doesn't bother you. You develop a, maudhya. You develop a certain kind of a thick-skinnedness when it comes to noticing other people's faults, because what are you going to do with them anyway? They don't belong to you. And if you start reacting to them, you take on other people's flaws. That's what you do. So let give it back to them. It's their problem. Let them, deal with it. So, Swabhaji doshe, what should you have? Mati kaushalam, alertness, adept, being adept at how to deal with your own flaws, your own shortcomings. And then anya bhaji doshe, with reference to the flaws belonging to others. What do you have? Gandhiji's 3 monkeys. What is that? Don't see it, don't hear it, don't speak about it. This is maudhyam, correct? And then what else? Now, Gane, it's not Gane, it should be Gune. Yeah, that's what it is. This is, Gune. Yeah, Gune Anya Jushi Harshabhara. We have been chanting it, wrong. Okay, so we chant it again. We chant the whole thing again. So, Gune, not Gane. Gune Anya, So, Anya Gune, with regard, now we have done the flaws, we have done with the flaws. So, with regard to the gunas means what? The good quality of others. So, Anyasya, Gune, with regard to the, what is that, good qualities of others, what should be there? Jushi, happiness in their happiness, So you are contented when other people, when you see the good qualities of other people. You're very happy, you're contented, in fact you point them out constantly, Yeah, not your own. Yeah, it's good to talk about that. Yeah, not your own. By the way, I am also good at this. No, stop. Yeah. Other people's good qualities, see, this is so nice. You will be so popular, people will invite you to every party. Because all you do is keep on talking about the good in everybody and everything. It's such a refreshing thing when somebody does that. So nice. And they'll want to hear the good things about themselves, so you'll become very popular overnight. I say, I don't know how you do this. This is so wonderful. You don't have to be all, insincere. You can be sincere. This is not about flattery, or this is not about exaggeration or insincerity. Sincerely, you see something wonderful and you praise it and you tell it, and you are thrilled with that. If somebody tells, oh, I did this very well, I got this award. Oh, yay, yippee, fantastic. How did you do that? And so, and the happiness is always catching. And so this is what it is, it spreads. So, and then, so Anya Joshi, with regard to the happiness of others, what do you have? Harsha Bharaha, you are filled with happiness yourself with regard to the Joshi of others, with regard to the Josh is happiness. With regard to the, happiness of others, then you are filled with happiness. And even though this Swabhaji comes in that line, it actually goes to the next line. So Swabhaji, then we have to borrow the word Gune. Swabhaji Gune Astaprasaktihi. Astaprasaktihi means from where all desire to, what is that? All desire to vocalize and dwell upon your own gunas, the sun has set on that. The sun has set on the desire to keep on being obsessed with blowing your own trumpet. Yeah. Yeah. You don't keep on saying, this is nothing, you should have seen me when I did this before. This is nothing, what is this? Nothing. I can do much better. You should see me like this. You should do this. You should see me then. You should have seen me in my prime. And what all I did. Yeah. So this is, so this is very simple, and a nice, it's both a formula and a prayer. And as a formula, let us look at it, Swabhaji doshe, with Swabhaji dosham prati, with regard to the flaw in yourself, what should you have? Mati kaushalam, always be aware of it. So think of each flaw as an inner child. So it has been Ishwarized, and then you keep on being aware of it. That awarefulness and the ability to work with it here is called, Mati Kaushala, alertness. And then with regard to other people's flaws, what do you have? Yeah, Gandhiji's monkey. Yeah, 3 monkeys. Don't see anything, don't hear anything, don't talk about anything. Maudhyam. You're slightly dull, you don't even notice it. And then, with regard to other people's gunas, and when they are happy with something they have accomplished, you join them in the happiness, you increase their happiness by joining with them. And with regard to your own gunas, if you do some Pati Kaushalam here, and you do some introspection, and then you say, hey, I'm not bad. I also have some wonderful things, you don't know what all I've accomplished, immediately, let the sun set on those gunas. What on those gunas? On talking about those gunas. Asta prasakti. So the prasakti, the longing has been what? Astamitam. The sun has set on the longing of trying to keep on talking about yourself. Okay. So very nice formula here. And then what? Akhileshu, with reference to everybody and everything, daya. Daya means compassion for all beings, compassion for even the complaining beings, and the people who are finding fault with you, even towards them you have compassion. Compassion doesn't mean that you keep on allowing them to step all over you. That's not the compassion we are talking about. That's not compassion. Compassion means you see their background. Even if you don't know their background, you see that there is a problem and they're coming out of a particular pain, a particular sorrow, and you can recognize that. And perhaps you can even help them. So, compassion with people, with regard to people who don't think like you, who don't act like you, who don't believe in what you say, patience and compassion, Akhileshu, Daya, and then Ati Udara Vrittihi, Ati Udara Vrittihi. Ati Udara Vrittihi means, how is it, and it's a qualification for Daya. So, what is this Daya? What is this compassion? It is great accommodation. Ati Udara Vrittihi. You accommodate everybody and everything. That's what a Vedantin does. A Vedantin does not argue with anyone. It's a waste of calories. Yeah. There's no need to argue. Why? Because everything is one. And if it's everything is Bhagavan, even if you don't go to the place of everything is one, everything is Bhagavan. And if everything is Bhagavan, Bhagavan has allowed these argumentative types to be there. Just love them up, I'll be like Pujya Swamiji who said, how will you have your tea or coffee? Whatever it is. With milk, with sugar, that's all it is. It's compassion. Or even that man who had come for, he said, I want Vada Bhiksha. What a thing to say to Pujya Swamiji, I want to argue with you. And Pujya Swamiji sent him so contented, there was nothing to argue about. Yes, this bus collided and has fallen in a ditch. Oh, is that right, Swamiji? He's agreeing with everything. Amazing. And then he had his, Pujya Swamiji is having his tea, give him tea. No, I don't drink tea. Okay, give him coffee. And the man again had nothing to argue. He was completely disarmed. And when no one was looking, he went away. And Pujya Swamiji peeped out of his paper and put it aside. Yeah. Amazing. Very, very beautiful. So like this, a Vedantin has no truck with anybody, anything. This is what is called Ati Udara Vritti. You love everyone. And the love is not dysfunctional. Compassion and love doesn't mean giving everybody what they want. Compassion and love means seeing the best in everyone at all times and seeing what they need rather than what they want. What they like the child may need to go to sleep but want to play. You see, that is the difference. So, Ati Udara Vritti, Akhileshu, and then this is a formula and a prayer, I told you. And then now we see it's a prayer, Kada Arjitaha Mama. When is this going to be earned by me? When is all this going to be earned by me? And then, when is this disposition going to be earned by me? When am I finally going to see that Swabhaji Doshe Mati Kaushalam? When am I going to see my own flaws in the light of knowledge? And when am I going to ignore the flaws of others? When am I going to be able to very openly and without a trace of jealousy join the, what is that called? The jubilation of somebody's accomplishment? And when am I going to stop looking at my own accomplishments, ignore my own accomplishments? When am I going to be compassionate? And when am I going to gain this kind of a disposition so that, because so that my haranuragaha, my desire for you, O Lord, becomes, easy to fulfill. Desire for you here is jignasa, mumuksha, jignasa. And easy to fulfill means what? That desire for oneness with you, which is gained through Vedanta. When am I going to qualify for this? This is the very nice, beautiful. Let us chant the whole thing again, and then we'll have some questions or whatever. And the speed at which we are chanting is appropriate because we are not really even supposed to stop much, except for Alankara. The Vasanta Tilaka goes quite fast, yeah. Anyasya dosha ganana kututam maitat avishkaroti liyatam mai doshavartvam doshah punar maina chedakile satishe doshagrahat katham hetu amesha tasmin esha vyathekara kriteti mamesha tasmin Oho yadi swaparakama mukaprasura seyam yatheti maynena kathannu oha swasya vyatha sadurita prathabani sarva kana nitya kila dosha nidhema maisha Maya madosha nitiko dudulakrahusmin Eyat pamadapati yoga alanna kera Vayo bhasat bhavati soyam sattimaha Yasam shritas svahita dhirya sanadurasat Doshasya tam prativachostu tadanya dosham Yadvachvitat pavakim nakshataye swadosha Tadapanodana marojitasaha Dosham parasya nadukrittati mayyanena Swamaishaveva paradatra samahritena Durvasudeva manihi kriyate tadanya Doshagrahadaha Inna nivartitavyam Nirdoshabhava pitarasya sadoshabhavam Swasyapi samvidadhati paradoshatine Asamiyam taditaratu parati matra Edurgulaktu nakatam Madhuchabhavam Padmadi saurabhagiva Brahmarasya harsham Vidvanyadiya sugune punaranya doshe Harsho durakta ivakena piteti mase Have kadesha kripaya Vidadesharesha Doshe swabhaji patikaushalamanya bhaji Maudham gurenya jushi Harsha bharasvabhaji Asta prasakti rakhileshu dayatyudara Nityo chito mamakarasu Haranuragaha Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om